to the channel. Kind of want to talk a little bit about the Switch 2 again. I have everything here that I have from Nintendo. So I kind of want to show that I don't have a whole lot of skin in the game. One of my first consoles was an NES. I don't think I've ever actually showed it on the channel before, but I did find it. It's got the red flashing light of death and stuff like that, so it doesn't even work. I don't have the cables or nothing anymore for it, but I do have my Retron 3 HD that can play NES, SNES, and Genesis games. I had all three of those consoles at one point. I also have the Retron Square, or Retron SQ console for playing Game Boy games, Game Boy Color, and I need to update the firmware on it for Game Boy Advance. But those aren't official consoles. These are the official consoles that I currently have. I did have a new 3DS XL, but I sold it. I still have some of the games. I kept all my Pokemon games and Zelda Triforce Heroes for right now. I got Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Ultra Moon I got used, and it's pretty much completed. Ultra Sun is barely started. I got Pokemon X, and I got Alpha Sapphire. But I'm hanging on to those. I do plan on getting a new Nintendo 3DS of some sort, hopefully this month. We'll see how things go. So I'm going to get one used and unlocked. I have a DS Lite. This one works, slightly yellowed a little bit, but it's still not too bad. I got a really good deal on that one. I have my launch switch here that I got used. I need to replace the fan on this one. I have the fan coming, and then I have somebody that will replace it on here. Then I've got my IPS backlit screen, Game Boy Advance. Oh, I have no batteries in there. Right. So this actually has a backlight on it, and it lights up and stuff, which is very nice compared to how it was originally with no backlight, which I don't. I had the Game Boy Pocket, and I have no idea how I managed to even play Pokemon Blue with no backlight. I beat it, but I don't know how the heck I even managed to play it. I do have a Chinese cartridge of Pokemon Blue. I played a little bit of it. But yeah, and then I got my Switch OLED. So yeah, between when I had the NES and the SNES, I didn't really get any other Nintendo consoles. I didn't have the N64. I didn't have the GameCube. I never got the Wii. I never got the Wii U. I never even had a DS or 3DS when they came out. I did have the Game Boy Pocket, so this is kind of like a representative of that. I didn't have the Game Boy Advance, but this is definitely a better system now that I have for that. This is a better replacement. This does also play Game Boy Advance games, which is kind of nice. I did find my original link cable that I had with my Game Boy Pocket, but when we were forced out of the house and stuff, I couldn't find my original Pokemon Blue or my Game Boy Pocket anywhere. So unfortunately that probably got thrown out. And trying to track down an OG copy it's ridiculous. They're like $100 or something like that right now for original cartridge, even though millions of them were sold, but still, like, the price of them is ridiculous. So I opted for just a Chinese cart. I do have Pokemon Red, multicolor and stuff like that, or full color. So it uses multiple colors instead of just one color tone, which is kind of nice. But the only problem with those knockoff carts is that they do save, but they can become corrupted and stuff very easily, which sucks. Um, but yeah, um, so the I actually got the Switch before I got my DS Lite, this Game Boy Advance, and my 2DS XL, new 2DS XL, and new 3DS XLs that I had. I did have an N64 that was given to me, but I did sell it last year. I do plan on getting another one at some point. I also sold most of my games, but I still have Conker's Bad Fur Day. I kept that one. Um, I had Turok 2 for N64, but I sold it, and I managed to actually get it on Steam, which is kind of neat. That they released it on Steam. I can play it on my Steam Deck if I wanted to. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Yeah. Then I got my Retron 3 HD, which plays a whole bunch of the old games. I don't have any NES cartridges at this point yet. I do have some SNES, and I have a few Genesis games that I've bought. Um, but yeah, I'm more than likely not going to be buying the Switch 2. Um, I did mention in my podcast episode, but hardly anybody's seen it. So I figured I'd make another video. But yeah, I'm definitely not a Nintendo fanboy, that's for sure. I sold off pretty much all my physical collection of my Switch games. I was able to get most of them back on Steam. And then some of the exclusives I do have. I have most of the Pokemon games. I have Mario Kart. I have Smash Bros. I just recently got Mario Party Superstars. Or All Stars, whichever way it is. I'm not getting Mario Party Jamboree. I didn't realize it was a remake of the original Mario Party that launched on the Switch. So I'm not going to get that one. But All Stars I know is a good one. I did have it before, but now I have a physical cartridge of that one. Um, yeah, I plan on getting another Switch. I saw at a local retro gaming store that they had the Hyrule Edition Switch Lite, which is what I'm after right now. I get paid next week. I'm hoping that I'll be able to pick that up if it's still there. If not, then I might order one from Japan for about the same price. The only thing is I might get hit with duty, which kind of sucks. But if I don't, then it's not too bad. I also want to get a new 3DS XL that's unlocked, so I can get all the games and stuff. And I hope I'll have access to like Pokemon Home on that 3DS, so that I can swap some of the Pokemon on my Pokemon games, and yeah, get those off of there, and then probably trade those cartridges in after I do that and just play it digitally. There's another thing I want to get off of AliExpress to be able to store games on. I forget what it's called right now, but there's a special cartridge that you can just put an SD card in, and you can run 3DS games on it. Hopefully I can transfer them to that. I do have some cartridges like these. Here, I'll show it better. Which have multiple games on them. This one doesn't work with the DS, so I'm pretty sure it's got 3DS games on it. But I have two other cartridges that do work on my DS Lite. I have a whole bunch of emulators and games on it and stuff like that, which is kind of nice. And then I want to get the MIG Dumper and MIG Switch at some point for the Switch. And eventually, I'm sure that the Switch itself will also be be able to be unlocked and stuff at some point, just like the 3DS has been unlocked, and then I could get all the Switch games that way at some point. I could technically unlock this one, but I think maybe the firmware updates have prevented that. I'm not 100% sure. But I definitely want to run Homebrew on the Switch at some point, because they will probably discontinue the Switch at some point, and then they'll shut down the store like they have with all the other previous consoles, the Wii, the Wii U, the 3DS. I'm sure some of the Switch games will still be purchasable on the Switch too, but they will cut off support for the Switch at some point. But I still want to get my hands on one or two more Switches, because I do have I have the boxes here. I don't have the physical carts. Yeah, no, they're in storage downstairs. I do have Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. I have 4 carts for that, and they each require a Switch to run. So I want to have 4 Switches again for that. It's nice now that I know somebody that can actually repair the Switches that I would get and other consoles. Because I have the fan coming for this Switch, and I was quoted just $45 for labor and thermal paste to replace the fan on here. I do hope that he'll be careful with the SD card reader, because that is possibly that's very easy to break the connector in the SD card reader here. So I hope he'll be okay with that. I will be careful with that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this system is very, very dirty and dusty inside. And then, what else is there? I might buy a couple of the cheap Switch 2 games. Eventually I might get a Switch 2, but maybe if there's a price drop only, or if they come out with a light version of the Switch 2. That's how I got into the Switch ecosystem, was by buying a Switch Lite first. I kind of liked it, but then I realized that there's certain things that I want to be able to do with it that I can't do on the Lite, like record gameplay. It is so convoluted to be able to record gameplay. You got to basically set up your cell phone aiming at the screen, and you got to capture record with the cell phone onto your computer. It's just it's not even worth it. It's just better to have an actual Switch, and which has video out and then a capture card, and just record that way. And every time I play a game, I try and record it, which also kind of puts a damper on my desire to actually play games, because it's like, okay, I want to set everything up and I actually want to record what I'm playing when I'm playing it and stuff, but there's long periods of time where it's like I just don't want to play anything. And I'd probably be in that same boat with the Switch too. I still buy games on Steam with my Steam Deck from time to time, but I buy like really cheap games. I might spend like $15 a week or something like that on games. I might buy 2 or 3 games, or less. Sometimes more, sometimes less. It varies. But just this last week, I spent like maybe $15 on Steam, and I bought a Switch game that is 4-player co-op, yeah. And some physical games are pretty cheap for the Switch, which is nice. And there are some Switch 1 games that don't even run on the Switch 2. There are games that have upgrades for them on the Switch 2. there's also like on the carts, like a lot of the upgrade ones, like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. The upgrades are on the Switch 2 carts, which is nice. There's been this misinformation about there being it being a Switch 1 cart with download code. That's not accurate, but yeah, there's the Switch 2 versions which have the games on the cartridge. And then there's some games that are key code carts, so you don't even get the game. It's similar to how they release like physical games with the download code in the case, and therefore the case is kind of useless. Like, okay, you can throw the case on a shelf or something like that, but once the code is used, that's it. You have a digital code. They almost should have just sold it as like a card, just a plastic card with a code on it that you scratch off instead of going through the trouble of actually having a case. I did manage to get like a physical copy of one of the Assassin's Creed collections. I did get the download code and I got the cartridge versions of that game collection. I think it was either Assassin's Creed 3 collection or Brotherhood collection or something like that. It was one of those two. But I still have the digital version because I did claim the code. But I also wanted physical too, so I got the physical, which I ended up selling. But yeah, I'm probably also gonna start buying up more Switch 1 games physically again. Because yeah, if they die in the future, they die in the future, whatever. But at least I'll have them for a while. I'm mostly gonna just try and get some of the exclusive ones or some games that are like 4-player co-op or 4-player versus or something like that. Either PvE or PvP games. Except for the Pokemon games, of course. I don't know what's going to happen with Pokemon ZA. If they're going to release that on Switch 1 at all, or if it's just going to be strictly Switch 2. There's been no real confirmation on that yet, how that's going to be. I hope it'll also be on Switch 1, although I'm also worried about the performance on the Switch 1 of it. There is a free upgrade pack for Scarlet and Violet, which is nice that they actually made it free instead of having customers pay for it, because that would be so ridiculous because that game came out so broken and buggy and all this stuff, and I've encountered bugs on the Switch when I was playing it. If you've seen some of my gameplay recordings of my playthrough, I think I've uploaded some of Scarlet, you'll see some of the glitches I've bumped into and stuff like that. I don't have Nintendo Switch Online right now. I haven't had it for probably over a year now. So all my cloud saves have been deleted because they delete them after 6 months, which is so stupid. But and it's stupid that you have to pay for freaking cloud saves on the Switch. Whereas like on Steam, it's free. On the Switch 2, you gotta pay for the chat feature, which is free on all other systems, including Steam. And you could use Discord if you wanted to on Steam, or with Steam and stuff like that. I don't know if you can use Discord on the Steam Deck, but Steam does have voice chat built into it, so I can do voice chat through the Steam Deck with my friends and stuff like that on Steam. I've done voice chat with PlayStation before while gaming on other systems. Xbox Live was different. You did have to pay for voice chat on the 360. I don't know if they changed that on the Xbox One or the Series consoles, but it should be free there as well. What else? Like the Switch 2 is a bit outdated already. Like they're just catching up to like 2006 and like 2016 technology kind of deal simultaneously. Voice chat has been around since 2002 on the 360 and PS3. It was better on the 360 than the PS3 was because you couldn't actually voice chat in game sometimes. Like you couldn't just have voice chat. It was very weird. You can voice chat like in game, but you can't start like a voice chat party and then jump into a game with that same person per se. It was very convoluted. It was just weird as hell. I remember there was some people that I would chat with on my PlayStation 3, but I couldn't do anything else with it. Whereas on Xbox, you could be in a party and you can play different games. You could do different things in it. You could watch a movie. You could do other stuff. And I also remember years ago on the 360, my friend had Netflix, and we would actually watch Netflix together over Xbox Live, which was kind of sweet. Um, we'd watch some movies or some TV shows and stuff like that. I wish they still had that feature where you could watch over console network and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, basically, the chat feature is similar to Discord. I haven't used it that way, but I know voice chat, but I haven't done the video chat at all on Discord in that way. But I've been hearing that it's the same as what you can do on Discord. Um, yeah, and Discord is free. Switch 2, you gotta pay to access their voice chat. It'll be free till March 31st of 2026, but you still gotta pay for a freaking voice chat after that. Gotta pay the minimum, I think it's like $30 a year for basic NSO in Canada, or $24.99 or something like that. I don't know if they've increased the price or not because I haven't looked into it for a while. Yeah, and then if you want some of the upgrade packs, you gotta pay for the expansion pass, or you gotta buy them individually. It's like, oh man. And GameCube is locked to the Switch 2. I don't really care personally. I don't care about those expansion pass or even the NSO retro console stuff. Um, I did play a little bit of like Mario Brothers 3. I sucked at it, man. I'm just I suck at those retro games. I was never really that good at them, but I was competent in them. But now I just suck at them. I tried to play Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I couldn't get past the first freaking person. Meanwhile, I beat that game so many times on the SNES back in the day. And yeah, it was a different time. It just seemed like it was so much easier back in the day, but maybe the game hasn't changed, but yeah, I don't know. And I also had a cheat sheet for all of the character moves and stuff like that that my cousin gave me. Um, he had it all printed out on this weird parchment paper, but it had all of their special moves and all their combos and stuff like that. Um, yeah. I had it for Mortal Kombat, for Street Fighter, and maybe one other game. Um, but yeah, I also had all their fatalities, all of their all their stuff for each of the characters and stuff. It was quite neat. Um, I only remember how to do like Chun Li's fast leg move. I don't know how to do her like spinning kick or any of her other moves on Street Fighter 2. I never memorized all of them. But yeah, and Street Fighter 6 isn't even all on the cartridge. It's a game key card on the Switch too. I have Street Fighter 6 on the Steam Deck, so I wouldn't even need to worry about that anyways. Um, I do have sometimes difficulty running Street Fighter 6 on the Steam Deck. Um, but it's okay. On PC would be better. Like on an actual desktop PC would be better. But yeah, I did try to play it with some people and it was just lagging like crazy. I had to turn down some of the graphical settings just to get decent decent frame rate and less input lag. What else is there? Um, yeah, it's nice that the Switch can do 1080p up to 120 in handheld mode, and it has HDR support, which is all right. At some point, I do want to get a Steam Deck OLED, probably the 512 gig, which is actually cheaper than buying the Switch 2 in Canada right now. And all I have to do is pay duty, which is less than paying the tax in the province I'm in. And yeah, the pricing is ridiculous. It's like $650 for the Switch, or 628 or 600 something, and then it's like $699 for the Mario Kart Switch 2 bundle. So you're looking at like $760 or something like that with tax where I am. No, it'd be more than that. 770, 775 maybe. So you're looking at almost $800 for a Switch 2 with Mario Kart. And that's just the bundle price. If you were to buy the regular Switch 2 and get Mario Kart physically or digitally afterwards, you're looking at almost $850 for the console and one game. I do have a back library on my Switch, but not all of them will run. What else? Whereas if I get a Steam Deck OLED, I can emulate stuff, and I can do more with the Steam Deck, and it's cheaper. It'd be under $700 for a Steam Deck OLED, 512 gig. But also that money, it's I'd basically have to spend nothing for a month or two and just get that. Whereas getting a Switch 2, I'm not a Switch 2, but a Switch Lite and possibly a 3DS XL would be cheaper for me than getting either of those systems at this point in time. I'm not in any rush to get a Steam Deck OLED because they are still available, thankfully. I don't want the 1 terabyte. The 1 terabyte is over $800 before tax, so that's out of the question. But I can upgrade the storage on a 512 gig to 2 terabytes fairly easily, because I did that on my 64 gig that I got. I do have it right here. And then I put the anti-glare screen protector on here It was a glossy screen, but I don't mind it with the anti-glare. It's okay, but I think I might need to replace the battery on it at some point. And I need to get the capacitors checked. Because this one I can't use in handheld mode for very long without it just shutting off and restarting on its own. Because I took it somewhere and I plugged it in and it got hit by a power surge. And it popped. There's a weird electrical thing going on where I had it at. And yeah, it's been acting a little bit weird, but when I have it docked and with an external fan, it runs fine. But if I have it docked without an external fan blowing on it, it just shuts off and restarts, and sometimes it won't even restart, it'll just shut off. So yeah, there might be some sort of weird issue with this one, but I can use it as a dockable console right now, and that's how I use it, with an external monitor and my capture device. But yeah, the Steam Deck 256 LCD model is actually cheaper in Canada than the Switch 2. The Steam Deck base model LCD is $4.99 Canadian, whereas the Switch 2 base is like 600 and something before tax and stuff. I think I paid $550 Canadian for the Switch, not the Switch, for the Steam Deck. And it's kind of nice that the 256 model is the same price as that the 64 gig was. And they've also put in some new improvements in it as well. So it is a better Steam Deck than what I currently have. But I do want one that I can take portably, that has better battery life, that I know I can emulate on the on my current Steam Deck, but with my issues with it, I don't really want to. I'd rather have another one that I can do, and then run emulators and get some ROMs and stuff like that. I gotta figure out. I know how to get the emulators, but I don't know where to get the ROMs and stuff like that for the games I want to play. At least with the new 3DS, I can. There is a way to do it on the system, which is kind of nice. So I'd be able to get access to like the entire library. And I hope eventually that'll be available on the OG Switch 1 at some point. I did jailbreak one of my PlayStation Vitas. It's kind of nice. I haven't really been able to do much with it as far as gaming, but yeah, it is nice though. I do have another Vita with my actual account on it. I did buy some like digital games, so I don't want to mess with that one. But my Gundam Breaker Edition Vita, I did jailbreak and unlock, which was not too difficult. And it's nice that there was some step-by-step instructions that I followed on YouTube, and I also had the PS Vita 2 cartridge thing that you could put an SD card in. And I did download a couple games. I haven't played them yet through a third-party app. There are some free games there. It's a little janky at times, sometimes it won't turn on properly and I gotta restart it. And sometimes they'll say that, oh, the system didn't shut down properly at times, but otherwise it's fine. And I almost do prefer handheld gaming over like console gaming, but I do like using my Steam Deck in dock mode and my Switch docked as well, because that way I can actually record gameplay, as I mentioned earlier. Um, I need to figure out if there's a way that I can record gameplay without my camera with the new 3DS XL that I plan on getting. If it's unlocked, if there's a way I can stream it to maybe my PC, or if I can stream it to a device or something like that. I'm not entirely sure how that would work. The reason I have the Retron SQ is because I can. It's like a console, but it's for Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. So I can record those that way instead of just recording the screen of my Game Boy Advance. And I did record a little bit off of it. I don't know where the files are for it right now, or if I've even uploaded it yet. Yeah, and I'm sure the Switch 2 would work with my capture device, no problem. It wouldn't be able to capture 4K, but I can capture 1080p, no problem. I can do 1080p up to 60 frames on my capture card that I have. It's the one that I got off of AliExpress last year. I do have the video uploaded on my YouTube channel. I don't think there's a way I can capture DS games, at least not off of the DS Lite. I haven't figured that one out yet. And I can use my Retron 3 HD to capture NES, SNES, and Genesis games. I do plan eventually on getting an N64. I do have an HDMI adapter for the N64, as well as a third-party controller that is actually way better than the original N64 controller. So I can capture gameplay with that at some point. I did order an N64, I think it was a year and a half ago, or like in 2023 off of Etsy, but it never arrived. I think I did get my money back for it, but they never shipped it. They never sent it. It was actually a scam, which sucks because it was what I wanted. It was a red transparent red transparent N64, which is what I want to get. It's like the watermelon one almost, but it's similar to the watermelon one, like they released back in the day. Might have been a Japanese one, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. I don't know if the N64 was region locked. It might have been. But I do want to get one of those fancy transparent ones. I have found them fairly cheap on eBay before. I haven't looked at it recently. So yeah, that's something I want to do. What else is there? Yeah. I did watch the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, and it was very exciting to watch. But then when I looked up the pricing online, I was just like, hell no. There's no way I can get that system right now. It was kind of like that when the Switch released too, but then I was able to eventually get the system. This was actually my first. No, no, I had the red and blue Mario Switch at one point. That was my first regular Switch. I did sell that one. Um, I didn't get as much for it as I would have liked. Um, I Then I got this system. I actually had two other Switch Lights that I bought as well. I bought the Coral and the Turquoise at one point. Did I have the Turquoise? I think I had the Turquoise. Yeah. Then I sold the Turquoise. Then I sold the Coral. Um, I sold my yellow Switch Lite that I had. No, maybe it was just the Switch. Maybe it was the Coral and the yellow one that I had. It was the yellow Switch Lite that was my first Switch that got me into it. Um, Trying to think of the timeline of when I bought these Switches. The Switch OLED was the last one that I got. I bought that one piecemeal. Um, I bought the tablet for like $250 or $300, and then I bought the Joy Cons for $35, and then I bought the dock for $35, um, and then I already had Pro controllers. I had other controllers for it already. I bought a different case for it. Then I bought this grip case for it, which was kind of nice. And then I was trading in some games at my local retro game store, and they had used Joy-Cons there for like 60 or $70 used. They're usually like 100 brand new. So I grabbed those. They replaced the sticks on them, I was told. So if there was any drifting, there shouldn't be. So it's got like brand new sticks on the blue and green, neon blue and neon green. Um, they're not bad. Um, yeah, definitely better than the third party Joy Cons that I got to start off with. These ones actually have the proper HD rumble, whereas those other ones that I've got that are the Splatoon Joy Cons are just basic rumble. Um, it's yeah, it's nice to actually have genuine Joy Cons with my OLED. I do have the Joy Cons for this. It's the gray Joy Cons, but I was using this one a lot for watching YouTube at one point. But now I just watch it on my actual TV. I use the app on my TV. Um, and yeah, I basically killed the fan in this Switch. It grinds. It makes an awful noise after it starts kicking up. It's probably dusty in there like crazy. So I'll be replacing that in the next week or two. Um, what else? I have enjoyed the Switch, um, but I'm not overly invested in it. I think I only have maybe 100 games at most, or maybe 65. It doesn't exactly tell me. I don't think. Let me see here. Let's fire up this thing. Some of these I don't even have the physical cards anymore. Like Captain Toad's Treasure I don't have anymore. I did buy Battle Crashers, okay. What else? I do have Dead or Alive Extreme 3 still somewhere. Oh, Dragon Quest Builders 2 I don't have the cartridge for anymore. But I still have it saved on the system. Dragon's Dawn of the New Riders I don't have anymore. Bought that digitally. I sold the cartridge for that, but I bought it digitally. That's Family Feud. I did buy Gika Wrecker Alt. Killer Queen I still have. Because that's 4-player versus. Kingdom 2 Crowns, I don't have the physical cartridge anymore. I still have it on the system. Oh, I did buy the Mario Rabbids games digitally, okay. Mario Golf, I still have the physical cartridge for Mario Golf. Mario Kart 8, I sold the cartridge, but I did buy it physically. No, I bought it digitally, my bad. No, I bought the game digitally. Mario Kart Live Home Circuit there. Now, Mario Party Superstars, I didn't have the cartridge for a while, up until like 2 or 3 days ago. But I still had it on my system. But then I just got the cartridge back, thankfully. And I tried to update it, but it's the current version, so I didn't have to update it when I put the cartridge back in. Miitopia, I don't think I have anymore, but at some point I do think I want to get it. I want to see how much it is. $64.99. Okay. It's not on sale right now. But yeah, even that's too much. My Chronicle Hyper, I don't have the physical cartridge for that. But I do have the game on my Steam Deck. And then I got Moero Crystal H. I got that digitally on sale because that one was not available on Steam last I checked. I got the Monster Hunter games. Well, I got Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe on here, but I don't have the physical cartridge. Nexamon Extinction. I think I bought that digitally on Steam. I'm just going to delete it. I wish it would tell you how many pieces of software you have. I do have Starlink Battle for Atlas, full game on here. Got Star Wars Hunters. Oh, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. I don't have the cartridge for that anymore. And Republic Commandos, I don't have that. Or Republic Commando, I don't have that cartridge anymore. That's the old Republic 1 and 2. I did have the cartridge for those two, but I bought those digitally on here. Star Trek Prodigy, Supernova. I did have the cartridge for that. I got that on sale digitally. Star Renegades, that's actually not a bad game, but I had it physically. I don't have it anymore, but I still have it on the system. So there are still some games that I have on here that I don't have anymore. But as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of games. I have some, but not a whole heck of a lot. Not compared to my like Steam library, which is over 1,400 games. Um, some of them are demos, and some of them are free to play games and stuff like that. But yeah, my collection on here is very meager. I might have maybe 100 games, give or take, at most there, or maybe 120. But yeah, my PlayStation library used to be my biggest library of about between 600 and 700 games. That included games with PlayStation Plus. I had like 120 PlayStation Plus games that I redeemed, but of course I don't have access to them now because I don't have PlayStation Plus. So that's kind of a moot point. But I have maybe 500 games that I actually purchased. Um, and I have pretty much all of them downloaded onto either the internal hard drive or an external hard drive that I bought. I think I bought an 8 terabyte external hard drive that I have all of my PS4 games downloaded onto. I did have The Crew, but obviously with Ubisoft removing it, I don't have it anymore, which sucks because I did buy it. And yeah, that was stupid. I do have The Crew 2 and the other Crew game, some festival thing, whatever it's called, on Steam. I got those really cheap, but they did make it so that you actually kind of own the game. So if the servers ever shut down, you can still play the game because they've patched it. But that's another thing that might happen too, is when the servers shut down for Switch 1, they may not like transfer a whole bunch of the games that are currently unplayable to Switch 2, and those games will be lost unless somebody does what they did with the 3DS game library, and basically just downloaded all of them and stuff like that. Made them available to anybody who unlocks their console. And also, like, Nintendo just constantly re-releasing old games and then charging full price for them, or even more than full price, is kind of ridiculous. And it is nice on on the Steam Deck to not have to pay for an additional online service. I get access to cloud saves, voice chat, and multiplayer, and everything I could ever want on my Steam Deck. But yet on the Switch, I can't play multiplayer. I can't do voice chat. Voice chat will be free on the Switch 2 temporarily, but on the Switch 1, there's no voice chat. I'd have to use a Nintendo app to talk to any of my friends, and they have to be playing the same game, or they have to connect at the same time. They would have to know to connect. They might not even have the app, and then it was really bad on the Switch. Switch 2 is a little bit better, but the fact that you have to pay for it is just so stupid. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I've been rambling for a lot and ranting and stuff, so I think I'm going to end the video pretty quick here. But it was nice that the Switch was the most affordable system at this point in time. I did buy the PS4 at launch, and that was $400 when that launched. I got that actually a year after launch because I finally was able to save up enough money to buy it. I did buy some games actually before I bought the system, which was kind of funny. But I bought Knack, and I bought another game or two because I knew I was eventually going to get a PS4. I have no intention of getting a PS5. or an Xbox Series console. Um, yeah. Um, is there anything else? And I'm hesitant to get the Switch 2 because it is way too expensive. Um, both for the console and for the games. I think we're gonna see a major shift in the market where AAA games are gonna see fewer and fewer sales because there are already fewer sales on PlayStation compared to the install base. I think a lot of the install base is still scalpers who still have systems that they haven't sold. Um, and they just haven't done anything with them. Because what is it, like 70 million units or so, or 85 million units or something like that they've shipped. That's actually not even counting sales. So who knows how many actual like PlayStation 5 users there actually are out there. Um, and it's ridiculously expensive in Canada and other countries too, I'm sure, to get into the PS5. The Xbox is a little bit cheaper in Canada than the PS5 in terms of like getting a Series X. Um, but yeah, because I think Microsoft actually does regional pricing, which is also what Steam does versus a blanket price, and then they just pay the exchange rate with Sony and Nintendo for other countries. So yeah, I can pick up like an Xbox Series X for like $550 Canadian, um, which is kind of funny. It's like I can buy a Series X for cheaper than a Nintendo Switch 2. And the Series X is a lot more powerful, but I do have issues with some of the problems that might arise in the future, like with the CMOS battery and the SSD eventually dying in the console because the SSD has some hidden files, has like hidden software on it, so that you can't just like flash an SSD and reinstall it onto a Series X or an S. You would have to have like proprietary software from Microsoft in order to do it. So if the Series S or X dies, or like if the internal SSD dies, the whole system's a brick. And I don't want to be stuck with something like that. At least if my SSD dies on my Steam Deck, I can just buy a new SSD and I can swap it out and reinstall the firmware and reinstall Steam OS, and I'm good to go again. If my battery goes toast, I can replace the battery on it. So the Steam Deck is a bit better for that. This PlayStation did fix the issue with the CMOS battery in the PS4 and the PS5, so that's a little bit of a plus. But the SSD technology for the PS5 is soldered to the PS5 motherboard, so therefore it's a lot harder to replace. It's easier to flash the memory and get it working again for a PlayStation, but having to tear down the PlayStation 5 to get at the motherboard, to desolder the SSD chips, and then reinstall new SSD chips is a freaking nightmare. So that's another thing I don't want to deal with. That's another factor that I think of when I buy a system is repairability. This is easy to repair. This, depending on what it is, like the top screen is a pain, but it is repairable. The Switch is repairable. I probably could fix my NES, but I don't have the cables and stuff for it. But it is repairable. The 3DS, the new 3DS and the 3DS are both repairable as well. You can replace everything on it. You can even get a new motherboard for it if you wanted to. You can replace each of the components. I found them on AliExpress. I found some of the parts. I found like the USB ports available there to replace on all these systems, and the power ports. Um, so it, so repairability is nice on these. But yeah, uh, I I can fix my PS4 Pro. I just haven't gotten around to it. I gotta replace the fan. It's a bugger to freaking get at the fan. I might get the guy that's gonna fix my Switch here to actually replace the fan on my PS4 Pro at some point. I was quoted from one place for $80 for labor to do it. He might do it cheaper. Um, you just have to replace the thermal paste, and rip it apart and replace the fan. I have the correct fan. I bought it last year off of AliExpress. I might even have done an unboxing video. I either posted it or I haven't posted it yet or something like that. I don't know, but I do have the fan. Um, and so there's that. Um, but yeah, console gaming has definitely taken a downward turn for people in a similar boat as I am that just can't afford to get modern systems, and then having to pay $100 to $120 per AAA game, and then having those games um, like be broken, buggy, virtually unplayable, and just a mess at launch. There is the issue with PC as well with some of these games. Like Monster Hunter Wilds runs like crap on PC. It's even worse on Steam Deck. Um, like there have been so many bad launches of games in the last, like even just the last 2 years. There have been so many bad games. Um, there have been some good ones too. Um, like I would say a lot of them have been on par with the Cyberpunk 2077 launch, if not even worse on some of them. Dragon Age Veilguard, that was an absolute trash fire. Um, I was kind of excited for it, but then I saw like some of the stuff they did in that game. I was like, wow, I don't want that game. I have all the other Dragon Age games on Steam. I got them for cheap. And I have all the Mass Effect games up until this point too. I got all those for cheap. Um, and yeah, it's just ridiculous how publishers are launching games nowadays. And yet they're like indie games and double A games that are launching complete, um, bug free, and glitch free, and just a complete package for so much cheaper and much better quality than even the AAA games are, or as with Skull and Bones quadruple A. Yeah. Yeah, some of these big companies are going to have a rude wake up call in the next few years or sooner, as opposed to like, well, as to like how consumers are going to be buying games and stuff. And I think there's some stat that like 82% of gamers are playing older games or something like that, or 62%. I forget what the percentage was, but there's a vast majority of people playing older games on console or on PC or other systems as compared to like new games. Because honestly, a lot of the new games are just like slop. It's just buggy messes. Even some have game-breaking bugs that you can't even complete the game. Yeah. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.